Getting older. We all do it. You're doing it right now. Look at you go. We all face a little bit of underlying anxiety about this process and the emotional baggage that goes with it, especially if you're younger and looking towards the future with all it may bring. There was this one girl I went to Hebrew school with. Let's call her Brandy. And every year without fail, she would tell the same tale. On my 30th birthday, I'm going to spend the whole day in my room crying. Who could blame her? I think we all feel like this when it comes to hitting certain life milestones. Some handle it with poise, some handle it with sadness, while others handle it with making a Netflix special. I'm here to tell you that your life doesn't end at 30. It's the title of the video. This is a loosely connected essay about getting older, going through your 20s, and nostalgia. Maybe my meandering existence can provide some perspective and alleviate the anguish about aging into adulthood. Hope you enjoy. It makes sense, I swear. Who are you? What makes you you? I know when I was born because that's what my parents and the government of Canada me. I need that. But I remember zilch, nada. They booted up my operating system with no memories, no agency. All I had was a big fat head. After a couple of software updates and hardware revisions, you turn into this. What is this? It's me, I'm you. As a child, you're just this ball of chaotic energy bouncing around in 3D space. And yet somehow that childhood bedlam is what sets the foundation for you. You had no choice in the matter. How could you? Your name, where you grew up, who you grew up with, what you experienced, your general disposition, the algorithm of reality imposing its will. As you move through childhood and become a teenager, this ball of chaotic energy turns into a ball of awkward chaos. Hey, I recognize this person more so than the big fat baby head, but who is this guy? It doesn't seem like me, except I can relate more to this version of me. This makes more sense. Socializing better, coming out of my shell, free will and personal consciousness is starting to come online. My taste in music and movies is still dictated by my immediate social circle. Ditto for any personal opinions and beliefs, and I'm still kind of a weirdo. Bruh. Look at you trying different things and figuring out yourself a bit better. Thinking, oh, I've got a grasp on my identity and this being alive thing. Wait, give it some time. Get out of high school. Go out into the world. Meet different people. Experience more life has to offer. Reinvent yourself, and then you'll realize...
So that was a fucking lie.
MeOS 17.2 had no idea what was going on. Now, MeOS 21.3 on the other hand, repeat this ad nauseum every couple months, days, years. Wow, MeOS 21.3 was just ridiculous. Now MeOS 24.8 on the other hand, just as constant shuffling in and out bits and pieces of whatever nebulous concept you have of the self. And what are you left with? Yourself. Once again, paradoxically, you're always yourself, but constantly changing and never quite yourself. Yet you feel like the same person because you experience time in a linear fashion. Peer back at all your previous OS versions, and all that was real. You really did and experienced all those things. It felt just as real then as these moments now, but those moments don't feel real now. Then one day you find 10 years have got behind you, and that Pink Floyd song you thought was really cool as a teenager hits different. How did I get here? How am I still alive? Time is so trippy. Days go by at a snail's pace, and years vanish in an instant. One moment I'm a teenager on the school bus listening to that Pink Floyd song, Blink, and in the next moment I'm 33 years old making a YouTube video about this. I have no idea what I'm doing. Part 2, I have no idea what I'm doing. When recruiters ask you in interviews, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you give off a canned response that demonstrates your alignment with the company's values, while deep down the answer you truly feel is, man, I don't know. Guess what? You are not alone. Growing up, you think everyone has everything figured out. The adults know what they're doing, and hey, you kind of know some things too, right? Then you become one of those adults and realize that you don't know as much as you thought you did, and neither does anyone else. Everyone is sort of flying by the seat of their pants and making it up as they go along. They don't know shit, you don't know shit, nobody knows shit. Is anybody in the driver's seat? It's scary. Wait, this is supposed to be reassuring. Obviously, in some areas, people know what they're talking about. But when it comes to meaning, purpose, how to live, areas without this objective rigidity, there is no instruction manual, just a list of suggestions. Some people have things figured out, and good for them. For others, it's a lifelong process, and there's no shame in that. Many among us feel like they don't know how to adult or how to person. We still feel like kids who've been thrust out into the world of adult responsibilities. Shit's confusing. So whether it's going through periods of uncertainty or having an underlying what the hell is going on feeling to living, don't worry. Both are normal. I think there are challenges at each stage of life. Some people have it harder than others, but I'm of the opinion that being a human is challenging in general. Part of growing up is gaining that experience and learning how to trust yourself to navigate this reality, even if sometimes you feel like you have no idea what you're doing. For instance, I don't know how to transition into this next part. Oh wait, it's part 3. Part 3, don't worry. Your 20s are neither overrated nor underrated. It's an arbitrary time period that's been socially constructed to seem significant because it's a big even number. Birthdays aren't real. The cake is real. The cake is not a lie. The way you decide to live during this decade won't necessarily make or break you for the rest of your life. Divvy up your life however you want. Within that decade, the steps between 21, 25, and 28 can be massive. Or you can take one big leap at 24, or not much happens and then 29 hits and bam, they can be fun, they can suck, they can be mid, or all of the above. The nostalgia goggles firmly strapped on, even though there were both good times and bad times. There's hanging out with your buddies, eating 3 a.m. McDonald's after a fun night of messing around town, or becoming emotionally depressed outside of that McDonald's in the midst of yet another late night existential crisis. I'm loving it. There's time among others, and there's also times of solitude. There's chill times, and there's buckling down to focus on work times. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Trials and tribulations, 808s and heartbreaks, a voyage of self-discovery. I'm getting back on the chair. The majority of your typical 20s milestones can be achieved at any other stage of life, so don't stress if you don't crush it right out of the gate. Stop comparing yourself to people around your age or younger and where they're at, and stop thinking you're a failure because you're not where you should be in life. There's so much pressure from society to be somebody, be successful, make money, meet someone, settle down, have kids. Well, I can barely keep my shit together, John, so how do you expect me to? It's noise. The only timeline you're on is your own. People are gonna judge you no matter what you do or which direction you take. So do what you want and whatever it takes for you to meet your needs emotionally, financially, spiritually, supporting yourself if you can, and gain support through others. No one can do it alone. There are many paths to succeed and different ways to find your place. So you failed the big test last semester. Swing and a miss. Okay, it's not the end of the world. There are so many useful traits you can have. Being skilled at what you do, being skilled at not what you do, being likable, being open-minded, having solid communication, meeting the right people, not being a total jerk like John. You'd be surprised at what you can bring to the table. Being on that hustle culture Sigma grind set is not required. By all means, don't sell yourself short. Work hard, try, and get out of your comfort zone a bit. But I've always found it a bit disingenuous when those who have made it try to tell you how to replicate success when they could have benefited from many other factors. Everyone's gonna tell you what you should do and how you should live. If you can develop a good information filter up here, then a bit of critical thinking can take you a long way. Too much critical thinking and you're going nowhere. Got 3 minutes with you, Spider-Man. You'll find that over time, your values and what you determine to be successful will change. You think you know what you want, but do you? Because even if you get there, reach your dreams, the achievement might not be all it's cracked up to be. Maybe you discover it was about the journey, not the destination, and then decide to go on a completely different quest altogether, except now with all this EXP. Having a bit of resiliency in your stats is good because things don't always go according to plan. I'm sure the next 2 years are gonna be great. What the hell is social distancing? It's possible to do everything right and still fail.
That is not a weakness. That is life.
That's just the way it is. As tempting as it is to play the comparison game, putting certain people on pedestals only messes up your psyche. How old they are or what they achieved at that age compared to you, so what? Who cares? Thanks to the almighty algorithm, I've gotten an influx of viewers from CJ the X because I mentioned them and Bo Burnham in a video essay. That's what the YouTube data tells me. Let's say, for the sake of argument, YouTube is also courteous enough to provide this stupid graph where I can see the drop-off in audience retention attention after the CJ section. Let's say, hypothetically, I end up questioning my own worth. All I did was remind an audience of someone or some topic they find more interesting. Let's say hypnotically, for the sake of Pete, all his data ends up fucking with my head. I will never be as good as them. They have so many more subscribers than I do. What am I doing wrong? I'll never grow this for stinking a YouTube channel. Believe it or not, some people have done that with my tiny channel with its half dozen videos. When does it stop? Where is the appropriate cutoff? Ultimately, no matter whether they are older or younger than you, them doing cool shit is just that. That's all it is. Cool shit. You're fine. You're valid. It doesn't negate you. Leave that to cosmology. Part 4. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. This can be both terrifying, liberating, and a huge generalization. Whew. Getting tired of doing this. Cynical doomerism is bad for your health, so I like to flip it into hopium with a dash of healthy skepticism. Saying nothing matters can be seen in a similar light to saying nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about you. Obviously, there's a basic level of human empathy that can apply across the board. Hopefully, some people care about you. And you know, some things matter. Like you. You matter. You are loved. You deserve love. And I believe in you. I wish everyone got that message. What I'm trying to point out is that everyone is so preoccupied with themselves and stuck in their own little worlds. Nobody cares about you and nothing matters. That cringe moment you had that make you go, ugh. Those blemishes or imperfections you see every day in the mirror. Any negative perceptions festering in your head. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. Blah de blah de blah. It doesn't even compute for them. You're not as unattractive as you think. You're not as bad as you think. It's not even a blip on their radar. They're too busy thinking that about themselves. Simultaneously, people want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want their feelings validated. If they care about something, anything, they'll let you know. And if they don't care about something, they'll let you know. This is what matters to them. Brush up on those social skills so that you can vibe. Might learn some things. And don't worry, everyone's a bit awkward occasionally. Even the social butterflies among us. See? Embrace it. Focus on what you can control. That's what matters. Like working on yourself. Self-improvement. Home improvement, self-improvement. If you don't know how or where to start, pick an area and start there. What's the Adventure Time quote?
Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sorta good at something.
For most things, you can get the basic information for free, and that's all you'll ever need. If someone is charging you money for that, run. Movement's good for you. Keeps the mind and body healthy. Wallet too. You can pick up all that at any age, but if you start the routine earlier, it makes it easier down the line. Take care of these and you can live longer and afford to play Breath of the Wild 2. Footnote: the philosopher Kanye West elucidated on the importance of money and how it affects your personal flexibility / lifestyle or even your worldview. I can't speak outside of my middle class upbringing, which is why I'm focusing heavily on the general vibe, life, feeling stuff, and less on career, jobs, work, how to earn a living. We're already alive. Why do we have to earn it? Money isn't everything, but having enough is a luxury. Seems obvious, but I felt there would be a big gap if I didn't acknowledge wealth in some way. There are many intellectuals beyond Mr. West who go more in depth with the subject. I am not one of them. Just like you can always work on yourself, meeting people and maintaining real life interactions through friendships or relationships takes effort. There will be phases of short-term friends, long-term friends, school friends, work friends, no friends. Hopefully it's all good, because sometimes they turn into assholes, or you find out the asshole was you all along. Perhaps you could have been a better friend, but that's okay. You're young, mistakes were made. With any luck, you've grown. Some friends will drift away. Your inner circle shrinks, and that's normal. Even with those whom you've had the most tightest, unbreakable BFF bonds, they sail away. It hurts, but it happens. Here's the thing. Some friends you don't need to see every single day to maintain the friendship. You can hit them up out of the blue, even meet up, and it's like no time has passed. If they liked you before, they probably didn't stop liking you. Life just gets in the way and you're both in different places. Regardless of how your friendships turn out, it's never pointless, as there's a reason for your connection. Even if it's simply learning from each other and having great memories. On the flip side, some people just suck, except that you can't fix them. In a way, you can learn something from everyone, and that includes teaching you how not to be. Recognize their shortcomings, your shortcomings, and try to be better. That means you don't put down others just to boost your ego. And if you ever have to apologize, just do it. It's not that big a deal. Sorry. On the half flip side, not everyone is gonna like you or get along with you, and there's nothing wrong with either person. You just aren't compatible. Still don't be an asshole. Just like good people uplift others through positivity, this also goes for yourself. Wherever you go, there you are. Be your own best friend, or at least get to a place where you can tolerate yourself. Some of these earlier concepts can help immensely in dating if you want to date. One thing I wish somebody stamped on my forehead early on is that your self-worth isn't determined by who you date, how many people you date, or even if you date at all. The social pressure and being a late bloomer in this area made me feel like I was missing something or missing out on something. But ultimately, it didn't matter that much. Dating advice can be all over the place and go into some highly questionable areas. Although in my experience, it's basically an extension of having good social skills. That person you fancy isn't some mysterious Rubik's Cube that you have to play 8D interdimensional chess with, or some DD beyond the mortal world. They're just people. Brush up on those social skills so you can vibe. Yes, dating can be fun and sometimes frustrating. Getting rejected stings, but don't take it personally and move on. Don't force it either. Be with somebody if you both elevate each other, enjoy each other's company, and there's mutual interest. If you're not seeing someone, okay, it's fine. It's okay. Being single has its perks. Better to have a solid relationship with yourself than be in a poor relationship with someone else. I discovered personal boundaries. Personal boundaries, establish yours today. Central themes to this coming of age during your 20s are about clarifying your identity, getting a sense of your self-worth, and discovering what you find meaningful. Technically, it's a lifelong journey. However, what makes this time unique is that while you've been alive for some 20 odd years already, if you think about it, your social circle, your interests, and your values have all been dictated by this reality algorithm. You only really start coming online later into your teenage years, and even then, the prefrontal cortex isn't fully formed until 25. The majority of your life, you've been a child, and in many ways, you're still a child, relatively speaking. We've been conditioned by the world to see our worth through what we do, who we know, or whatever bullshit. There are pieces outside of yourself that can contribute to your sense of self-worth, but having personally gone through varying degrees of both, looking outside myself or living up to some standard of what you're supposed to do, or what other people find meaningful, can only take you so far. What do you find meaningful? What makes you happy? What brings you fulfillment? It won't necessarily align with everything you do, but there's gotta be something, even if it's a teeny tiny speck of nothing, because nothing really matters. It's about what matters to you, because you matter. You matter. Part 5.
You wouldn't understand, Dad. You're not with it. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you. No way, man. We're gonna keep on rocking forever. 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 Forever.
Getting older isn't depressing. You're probably not gonna cry or make a Netflix special when you turn 30. That day just comes and goes. Time passes, and it's the slow realization of, is this it? Is this it? This isn't good or bad. It just is. All that anxiety dissipates, mellow out a bit, and the most amazing part about getting older is that you stop giving a shit about things that don't matter. And that includes getting older. Instead of frantically grasping onto youth, there is acceptance. Okay, how can I age gracefully? You feel a bit older when the 20-somethings start looking like teens, and teens look like babies, but to the 40, 50, 60-somethings, that's what I look like. So a lot of this shit is relative. You value sleep more, which is great, because some days you wake up feeling achy for no reason. It's like that Noam Chomsky quote. A basic principle of the modern state of capitalism is that, shit bro, my bones hurt. You don't know what's trendy anymore and have to use Urban Dictionary more frequently because what the hell is a saucy baka, but who cares? Celebrity pop culture or arguing about the latest Marvel movie online, who cares? Being cool, who cares? Which makes it cool. The best way to become cool is not to worry about being cool. When you're younger, everything is so compressed and immediate. This thing that is happening right now is the most important thing ever. This right now is the most important time in my life. But how could you know otherwise? You've only only been alive for so long. There's a special kind of wisdom that comes from merely existing longer. The benefit of hindsight is that you can compare your current OS with your previous OS and go, hey, that wasn't the most important thing ever. I can't believe I thought that. I've changed my mind. Having that perspective on personal growth is one of the biggest lessons time can teach. Thank you, time teacher. That doesn't mean the older you are, the better you are. Going through that process made me recognize the silliness of shitting on specific generations, as your maturity or intelligence isn't tied to age. You can be Jimmy Neutron boy genius at algebra, but turn into Jimmy Neutron pile of mush in social situations. And you might know how to achieve world domination, but when it comes to loving somebody, you can't conquer their hearts. That's so corny. There are 18-year-old Gen Zs who have more emotional maturity than some 60-year-old boomers, and vice versa. Boomerism is a mindset. I'm not into TikTok, but my mom is. There's nuance and shades of gray to many things, but not everything.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
That's why it's hard making blanket statements about the past. You kind of accept who you were at any given moment and learn from it. There are some decisions where you can't ever fully know if it shaped you positively or negatively, as the narrative that is your life is constantly being written. My online posting stopped when I hit my mid-20s because I saw this phenomenon in my early 20s/teens and thought this cycle would just repeat in the future. That's why I didn't make YouTube videos. Also, the chronic doubt and crippling fear of failure didn't help. Your typical advice video might say, start before you're ready. Just jump in. Go for it. When you're on your deathbed, you're gonna wish you overcame the fear adversity monster. Not dead yet. But let's say hypothetically, for the sake of argument, some positives came from not posting. Sure, there was some FOMO. My communication skills got rusty, and the potential to meet and interact with online communities wasn't present, but it also tempered me from jumping in with piping fresh hot takes that turned out to be wrong or posting cringe. Maybe that helps you recognize when something is a bad idea before you do it. Maybe it's okay to say,
I don't know enough about this to have a solid opinion.
Or better yet, no comment. Point is, there will always be an element of FOMO no matter what path you take. You didn't go to many parties, oh, I missed out on all these parties. If you did go to parties, oh no, I should have taken better care of myself and used that time to be on my Sigma grind set. I was once a gamer, and then I missed out on a decade's worth of gaming in the pursuit of other things. Boy, Elden Ring sure looks like fun. But it's fine. You do whatever you're supposed to do. Perhaps the not doing because of fear or whatever one day encourages you to take a leap of faith in the next. Or you get bored and want to try something new, or pick up where you left off all those years ago. Time isn't wasted if it's on something you enjoy, and time can never be wasted because you're figuring things out. So rather than living with regret, as you get older, you go, all right, well, I'm here now, and make peace with it. A mellowing out with a sprinkle of acceptance. That's the trade-off as mortality starts knocking at the door in more ways than one. Not just through the constant shuffling of the self, but that excitement for brand new living becomes a steady simmering boil. Ooh. There are still moments of awe. You can still have a great admiration for things like music, but it doesn't have the same impact it did when you were young. The culture changes and you begin feeling a touch at a touch. That's a good thing. Recognizing that the world doesn't revolve around you, certain things you'll never get, and not everything is designed to appeal to you is an important step to take. Meanwhile, your adolescent influences are getting up there in age and start dropping like flies. Here's a segue. Good Will Hunting is a film from 1997 starring these actors. If you haven't seen it, all you need to know is that Matt Damon is this unrecognized genius who goes to therapy with Robin Williams. There are other characters and a plot, and watching it for the first time in years was very surreal. Back when I first watched it, Matt Damon in the film was older than me, so obviously I thought, wow, he is such a Giga Chad, the way he owned that guy in the marketplace of ideas. How do you like them apples? But now here I am in my 30s, perceiving Will as that frightened child, relating more to Robin Williams' character and his point of view. Of course that happens. You've probably had it happen too. The film doesn't change, the characters don't age, but we do because we exist in real life. That same real life where Matt Damon is 51, Ben Affleck is 49, and Robin Williams died many years ago. You grow up thinking everyone will be around forever because you're a kid. That's all you've ever known. Then as you age, the reality dawns on you. Well, that was a fucking lie. Go to a couple of funerals and the realization hits that either you will bury every person you've ever loved or one day they'll have to bury you. That's the price. This depressing thought of the day is brought to you by NordVPN. NordVPN. They can protect your online privacy, but they can't protect you from your inevitable death. Hopefully not for a while. And this is where the good stuff comes into the picture, like gratitude, empathy, compassion, humility. Getting to the age that your parents birthed you should up those empathy points and downgrade the judgmental points. They will always look like authority figures, but that added perspective makes you go, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing now. And this is when they had children. There's a bit more patience with others because you don't know where they're at, where they're coming from, or where they're going. They could be having a bad day, a bad month, a bad year, bad life. Everybody goes through some shit. So you try to be kind if you can without expecting anything in return. This also goes for yourself. As you get older, you gain a greater appreciation of those closest to you, and you try not to take them for granted because you know they could not be. The added adult responsibilities make it feel as though there's never enough time in the day. So you value the smaller things, some downtime, the quiet moments, a simple conversation, getting socks as a gift. It's those little things that can keep you going. You try to live on purpose and with purpose because you never know when something can come along and fuck it up. Enjoy playing music? Uh-oh, a stampede ran over your hand. Or more likely you got arthritis from the stampede. What's most fascinating is how your dreaming shifts from being all about your future to now where you start dreaming more about the past. Your childhood home, the street you grew up on, having that carefree peace of mind. It's not that there's nothing to look forward to, you've just got more life experiences to draw on. Mostly it's a couple of memories here and there, although sometimes there's this intense yearning to return to the past, as if your soul tries to leap from your body and propel you back to those moments. You know when you get really thirsty for a glass of water and you chug that shit down? Yeah, like in the old house, me and my younger brother used to spend our weekends going downstairs to have sleepovers in the basement. Week after week, we'd be staying up late watching shows, playing Halo, and wearing out the DVD to the Red Hot Chili Peppers live at Slane Castle. Seriously, this thing is a mess. That was our favorite band growing up. Their wacky energy combined with soulful introspection spoke deeply to my adolescent self. Did it inspire me to write cringy high school poetry about love and the universe? Maybe. Do I have the lyrics to Sir Psycho Sexy memorized? Absolutely. Some critics believe Kiedis is the weakest link, though honestly his nonsensical and goofy lyrics are part of what makes the band fun. Get out of here, Anthony Fantano. Get out of here with your slander. Californication, By the Way, Stadium Arcadium. These albums define my youth. Ditto with those Friday and Saturday nights with my bro in front of that 4x3 SD TV. On a more recent Saturday, the nostalgia thirst crept up and straight up sent me. In the morning, my brother and his fiancée moved to the States to begin their new jobs in a different country. And coincidentally, on the same day, the Red Hot Chili Peppers dropped their latest album, Unlimited Love. I used to go crazy for these new releases, but going in I had no expectations or hype because the last two albums were alright. Figured I'd give this new LP a casual listen and be like, it's fine, and then it started playing. So many emotions. Bewilderment that is actually good, feeling like the natural continuation of Stadium Arcadium, as if John Frusciante never left the band, but this blissful ecstasy was met with melancholic longing for the past. That afternoon, I shut off the world for 3 hours and played it back to back to back. Lying on my bed with headphones, no distractions, only music. As if I was a kid riding the bus to high school, staring longingly out the window while listening to my favorite bands. The same kid who gushed over those bands with his younger brother in the basement on weekends. How much of that same kid is me? Who are you really? Peer back at your previous OS versions and all that was real. You really did and experienced all those things. It felt just as real then as these moments now, but those moments don't feel real now. The time is gone. The song is over. Thought I had something more to say. The beautiful part about getting older is that you recognize what you had, what you have now, and cherish it for what it is. Using best-selling multi-millionaire musicians might not be the best example. However, considering what the band has gone through during their tenure, it's a miracle that this music even exists at all. And so I'm grateful for all the tunes and how it connects me to a former me from former times, continuing this dialogue of sorts between past, present, and future. If you could, what would you say to your younger self? Would they be proud of you? What could they teach you, and vice versa? Why do you care what a teenager thinks of you? Because it's you, right? Maybe you forgot your childhood self and needed a reminder to keep that spirit of wonder alive. Because there is no cutoff date for that. Doesn't matter how old you get. It reminds me of the end of a C.S. Lewis quote. When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be very grown up. As a kid, you can't wait to be very grown up. The freedom to do all you want and the freedom from all your insecurities. Then you grow up and discover it's not that simple. As an adult, you want to be a kid again. The freedom to do all the things you want and the freedom from all your insecurities. Alright, it's not that simple. The nostalgia presents all the good times in glorious 4K, but it also paints over all the awkward and ugly times in their shitty 2-pixel resolution. It was never perfect. Not then, not now, not ever. I've made it past 30 and I still have no idea what I'm doing. Doing my best to project positivity and good vibes, but sometimes I'm lonely, sometimes scared, sometimes depressed, overwhelmed, anxious, full of doubt. Take your pick. When I think I have things figured out, no, not really. But it's fine. The whole unknown not knowing is kind of what keeps me going. I've been wrong before, so maybe when it all seems hopeless, I'm wrong about that too. Life's an adventure, let's see what happens. Yeah, that's the spirit. Nevertheless, it's hard not to compare yourself with your peers, especially when you're the oldest of 5. While it looks like everyone else is piecing this together,
time keeps on slipping into the future.
and you still feel unsure of yourself, still feel like a kid sometimes. People are moving on, transitioning to the next phase of life, and I'm still in the basement. But which, you know, I'm grateful to have a roof over my head, and you gotta appreciate these moments for what they are. It's also the same basement on that same recent Saturday with my brother moving and the Chili Peppers moving me, where I finally got around to watching Spider-Man No Way Home with my sisters.
I love you guys. Thank you.
We waited to watch it together. It was a good movie.
That's good.
Right?
That's better.
Yeah.
Who says there's nothing to look forward to after 30? It's not so bad. The good old days can be any day. These moments now become the nostalgia of tomorrow. That's what I'm looking forward to. Eventually you stop dreading what the future could be like. Where will I be in 5 years? What happens when I turn 30? Because you're there, you did it, congratulations! Have to be doing something right to make it this far. Just make sure to keep that dialogue open between past, present, and future you. Not forgetting where you came from, your youthful sense of wonder, how much you've grown, how much you've learned, what you have now, and all the things that matter to you. And as for any younger version of yourself, tell them you are loved, you deserve love, and I believe in you. More will be revealed, my friend.
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With Mentos fresh and full of life, nothing gets to you. Staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full of life, fresh goes better. Mentos freshness, fresh goes better with Mentos. I'm losing my mind.
Mentos, the fresh maker.